So in the post-fight interview, Dana talked about him and Lorenzo talked about increasing the number of events to potentially get more reps for these guys to reduce the number of DQs. Do you think something like that would actually help, or do you have any other suggestions on how we can get away from having these DQs? We've seen in Power Slap 6 and 7 once again, having multiple matches finish this way, and obviously nobody wants to see that.
I would agree with that statement that more matches are going to be helpful, but people need to be coached. And I mean, there's a reason why people get picked to be a coach for this instead of just saying they're a coach. It's one thing to talk about it all day long, but to go out there, and I have multiple cases where a little bit of communication with my guy really made a big difference. Cooper Housley, perfect example, had a little bit of an issue at the beginning, kind of a rocky start. I told him, just don't get in your head, calm down, the momentum, the follow through, what you need to do. You just have to be able to execute with precision, and then came out and got himself a win bonus, man. Perfect example of what needs to happen for, again, the training in between needs to step up for everybody on all sides, and it needs to be taken more seriously. This off the couch shit needs to fucking stop.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about Cooper Housley. Was he the biggest surprise for you on your team?
Honestly, yes. And the only reason I say that was because it looked like, in the beginning they were both having a little bit of trouble, and that it very likely was going to be a 3-round decision, because they were trying to do their best and deal with the situation at hand. But again, a perfect example of a little bit of communication, and Cooper went up there and executed with precision, man. I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
What was your biggest highlight, overall the entire night, you think?
I mean, the whole event was a highlight for me because I get to be a part of it. I got to do more this time than I did as a coach last time. I got to be more involved than I have been as a champion. So the whole event, I would say, was exactly what I needed and what I could have hoped for, to be a part of everything, not just, my single fight or just being the coach.
I mean, let's talk about Azael and Static. You had a very close vantage point on that. Obviously, you never want to see a fight end in DQ. What's your true thoughts and feelings on that call?
I mean, I can't argue the call because it is what it is, but that's more so, what does the middleweight division do? You just got someone who was dropped into the top of the queue and given a title shot basically if they won the fight, and he wins off of a DQ. But what do you do with that? It is what it is. It's any other time I would fight anybody. I don't care who it was, but it leaves me with the question of who in the fuck am I supposed to fight next? Because what do you do with that? The math doesn't make sense. So I pretty much either have to wait or take someone who's going to be, technically not deserving. So it is what it is.
Absolutely. We've seen obviously Azael ecstatic in celebration, very similar to Russell Rivera when he fought Static, thought he won, lost by disqualification. You get all that pent up energy going into it, and then the letdown that comes after that. How did Azael handle it?
Up on stage, he handled it like a pro. Once I started telling him they were reviewing it, and I wasn't too sure what was going on because, at first I thought it was a clean hit. I was super excited for him. That was a statement to be made for the middleweight division and the type of contenders and competitors we are at the top. I felt bad because of how that goes, because like you said, the roller coaster of instant hype, great knockout, to, well, that's a DQ, you lose. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster, and like a lot of guys who have to deal with this stuff, redemption is going to be the key word I think that he has to focus on.
How shocked were you by the performance of KO Chris? Because he looked calm, cool, collected, almost like the KO Chris of old going into the fight. Things obviously didn't go his way. What do you think went wrong for him?
I don't think it's necessarily what went wrong for him. I think it's what went right for Blackburn. That guy's been at home, putting in the work, really focusing on doing what he has to do, and he is a perfect example of communicating with folks on what he can learn, what he can do to better himself while he's at home, and off the couch, which I know he's working, but for them to call him on such a short notice and him to come in and make such a statement for the 170 pounders, man, more props to him. That was great.
Absolutely. I mean, super heavies. We had obviously Dayne Viernes, unfortunately with 2 stepping fouls. Evian Scott getting the DQ victory. There's a lot of hype going in, number one contender. Didn't work out for him. We've seen a significant height difference. And you know what? Evian, I think, to his credit, stood up very straight And from my vantage point, you could see that Dayne had to lift his feet almost to even reach his chin. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it back. What did you say between round 1 and 2 for him to not step? Obviously, he committed the same stepping foul in two occasions.
I told him, I was like, you need to calm down, because what happens is everyone gets so excited up there, and they want the knockout, they want the viral clip, they want to win, which by all means you absolutely should have that mindset.
Yeah.
But also you need to be able to contain yourself and do it by the rule set. We have a rule set for a reason, and if you can't abide by those rules, you're going to have this issue over and over again until you make those corrections.
Totally. Let's talk about the heavyweight title match. Obviously, your good friend Ryan Phillips, Ohio boy, going opposite of your Damien DeBell, the title holder. What did you think of that match overall?
It was going great for both sides. I was convinced that it was about to go 5 rounds and be a decision. Unfortunately, it went the way it did for Ryan. Shout out to him for going up there and being a warrior. Hope he comes back strong, heals up well, and congratulations to DeBell. He went out there and he was just having fun up there. He was just having a good old time. They were both really trying to put on a show and show what it is what we go up there and do in a championship fight. No matter what, you go on, you put out, and however the chips fall, that's just how it goes.
How hard are you gonna be banging those phones for Power Slap 8, June 28th, International Fight Week?
I'm gonna be making some phone calls here real soon. If I have time in the airport, I might get on it. There's a lot that I want to talk about with the brass and the powers that be at Power Slap, not just about my fights, not just about what I have in the future, but the future of everything in general. I feel like a good sit down and discussion absolutely needs to happen as soon as possible.
Awesome, my man. There we go.